The voyage begins into the Devil's Triangle. I still remember that morning, as if it were yesterday. The sun hung low over the Miami harbor, casting a golden glow across the waves as our small crew prepared the boat, the Horizon. It was supposed to be a simple research trip, a week-long journey to study magnetic anomalies reported near the Bermuda Triangle. I'd read about the triangle my whole life, planes disappearing, ships lost without a trace, but I never believed in all that supernatural nonsense. I was a man of science, and this was my chance to prove that every mystery had a logical explanation. Yeah, there were 4 of us. Captain Reyes, the old sailor who'd spent half his life at sea. Mia, our communications expert. Dylan, the mechanic and my closest friend. And me, Ethan Cole, oceanographer and skeptic. My laughter filled the deck. The weather was perfect, the sea calm. But beneath that calm, there was an eerie stillness that made me uneasy, a silence so deep that even the gulls seemed to avoid flying overhead. By sunset, we had crossed the invisible border of the Bermuda Triangle. Reyes pointed to the map and said, in his gravelly voice, "From here on, keep your eyes sharp. The ocean doesn't play fair in this place." I laughed, thinking he was joking, but he didn't smile back. His face was hard, eyes fixed on the horizon. That night, as I stood on deck, the sea shimmered under the moonlight, too still, too perfect. The waves didn't move as they should. My compass needle twitched wildly, spinning as if drunk. "Must be the magnetic field," I muttered. But deep down, something about it didn't feel natural. Then came the hum. A low vibration, almost like a heartbeat, rising from beneath the boat. Dylan came running up. "You hear that?" he asked, his face pale. Before I could answer, the lights flickered, and the engine coughed to silence. The air grew heavy, thick enough to taste. Captain Reyes shouted from the helm, "Storm's coming. Secure everything." But there were no clouds. Not a single one, just a strange mist creeping across the water, swallowing the stars one by one. The radio crackled, a voice whispering through static, "Turn back. Turn back before it's too late." Mia tried to respond, but the signal died. The world around us turned white. The ocean vanished beneath a curtain of fog. I couldn't tell where the sea ended and the sky began. Felt like we were drifting through nothing. No sound, no wind, no time. That's when I realized we weren't just lost at sea. We were crossing into something else, something that wasn't meant for us to find. The compass that went mad when the mist swallowed our boat, it felt as if the world had simply stopped existing. The ocean was silent, not a single ripple, not even the sound of wind brushing the sails. Only that low humming sound remained, echoing from beneath the hull, like the beating heart of something enormous. Captain Reyes tried to keep his composure, gripping the wheel tighter than ever. "Stay calm," he yelled, though his voice trembled. "It's just a magnetic disturbance, we'll ride it out." But the look in his eyes told another story. Even he, the man who'd survived hurricanes and shipwrecks, was scared. I checked my instruments. The compass spun wildly in circles. The GPS screen flickered nonsense coordinates. 1 second, it read 24N. Then suddenly 0 feet, 0 inches, the middle of nowhere. This doesn't make sense," I whispered. Mia tried adjusting the radio, but all we heard was faint static, followed by distorted whispers like voices layered on top of each other, speaking in languages I couldn't understand. Then came the flash. A blinding burst of light erupted from the fog ahead, illuminating the water with an electric blue glow. Dylan leaned over the edge, eyes wide. "You seeing that?" he whispered. Beneath the surface, strange patterns shimmered, geometric symbols glowing faintly like circuitry, spreading across the seafloor. It was beautiful and terrifying. The compass needle snapped off its base and clattered onto the deck. Every metal object began to vibrate violently, the anchor, the wrenches, even my watch. It was as if some invisible force was pulling everything toward the deep. "Kill the power," Reyes barked, but the controls were frozen. The engine roared to life on its own, spinning the boat in circles. The mist thickened, twisting into shapes, long, shadowy figures that almost looked human. Then Mia screamed, "Someone's out there." She pointed toward the fog. Through the whiteness, a faint silhouette floated. A man, or what looked like one, drifting on the surface without moving. His body was stiff, his eyes glowing faintly blue. Before we could react, The figure sank straight down, disappearing without a ripple. Panic spread across the deck. Dylan ran below to check the engine, but his voice soon echoed from below. "Ethan, you need to see this." I climbed down to the lower deck and froze. The walls were covered in water, not dripping, moving. The reflection on the walls shifted and swirled, showing images, ships from different eras, all vanishing into the same mist. I saw faces, terrified sailors, lost planes, 100 different tragedies playing like ghosts trapped in glass. My heart pounded. "What is this place?" I whispered. Dylan looked at me, eyes wide. "Maybe it's not just the ocean," he said quietly. "Maybe it's a doorway." And as the boat lurched violently, throwing us to the floor, I realized he might be right. We weren't just caught in a storm. We were being pulled in. Voices from the deep. When I regained my balance, the world around me felt unreal, like we were floating in a dream. The fog outside glowed faintly, and everything on the boat, the metal, the ropes, even our skin, seemed to shimmer with the same eerie blue light. The ocean was too calm, too still. It wasn't water anymore. It looked like glass, reflecting endless darkness beneath us. Captain Reyes tried starting the engine again, but it was useless. Every time he turned the key, the hum beneath the boat grew louder, almost angry. "Something's alive down there," he muttered, his voice shaking. "And it doesn't want us here." We stood there, silent, listening. Then came the whispers. Faint at first, soft, like a lullaby carried by the waves. But as they grew louder, I realized they weren't random sounds. They were words. Familiar words. "Ethan." My blood ran cold. Someone, or something, had just said my name. Mia's eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Before I could respond, Dylan gasped and pointed over the railing. Through the glassy water, I saw shadows, human shapes. Drifting below the surface, their faces pale and eyes glowing the same blue as the mist. I leaned closer, trying to focus. That's when one of the figures looked up. Its face was clear, a man, mouth open in a silent scream. His hand reached toward the surface, and I stumbled back in horror. It wasn't just any man, it was Dylan. I spun around. My Dylan was still beside me, staring into the water, his face pale as snow. "That's not me," he whispered, shaking his head. "That can't be me." Before we could move, the water erupted. A wave of icy mist shot upward, knocking us off our feet. The voices turned into cries, dozens, hundreds of them, desperate, pleading, "Help us, turn back. Don't follow the light." The fog around us began to swirl violently, forming a vortex above the boat. Inside it, I saw flashes, planes, ships, people, all spinning endlessly in circles, trapped in a loop of time. Reyes tried steering us away, but the wheel spun on its own. "It's pulling us under," he shouted. I rushed to the side and looked down. The sea below had opened up into a massive whirlpool, glowing blue from its depths. Inside it, I could see the shapes of wrecked ships and airplanes, some from decades ago, others that looked brand new. Then, for a moment, everything went silent again. The wind stopped. The mist froze in place. From the depths, a single voice rose, clear, calm, and cold. "You were never meant to leave." I looked around. The deck was empty. Mia, Dylan, and Captain Reyes were gone. Only the sound of the ocean's heartbeat remained. Oh, and that's when I felt it. A cold hand gripping my ankle from below. The return that never was the hand that gripped my ankle was ice cold. Not wet, not human. I kicked wildly, shouting into the fog, "Reyes, Mia, Dylan, Blay." But my voice echoed back at me like a whisper in a vast, empty cave. The mist had swallowed everything, the sea, the sky, even sound itself. I fell hard onto the deck and crawled backward, heart pounding. The hand released me, but something else moved beneath the boat, a shadow stretching wide and deep, larger than anything alive should be. The glow from the water pulsed again, and for a brief second, I saw it, gigantic, silent. Watching it wasn't a creature, it was more like a structure floating in the abyss. Towers of light, symbols carved into its surface, rotating slowly as if time itself bent around it. Oh. I realized then this wasn't just a place of lost ships. It was a graveyard of realities, a rift where everything that vanished still existed. I stumbled toward the cabin, but the doors had fused shut. My reflection in the glass stared back at me, only it wasn't mine. The reflection smiled, though I wasn't smiling. Then it turned and walked away, leaving me frozen on the other side. "Ethan." The voice came again, softer this time. I turned to see Mia standing at the edge of the deck, her face pale, her eyes glowing faintly. "It's okay," she said. "We're home now." Behind her stood Reyes and Dylan, both calm, unmoving, as if caught in a trance. "No," I whispered. "You're not real." They smiled in unison, and the fog thickened around them. The air buzzed, every hair on my arm standing on end. I could feel something pulling me closer, like gravity itself had changed direction. The humming grew louder, building to a deafening roar, and then darkness. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on a beach. The sun was rising, the waves gentle again. My boat, the Horizon, was half buried in sand, rusted, broken, as if it had been there for decades. I stumbled to my feet, dazed. There was no sign of the others. No fog, no hum, just silence. I walked until I found a nearby Coast Guard station. The officer stared at me in shock when I told him my name. "That's impossible," he said, flipping through a file. The Horizon disappeared in 1983. Everyone on board was declared dead 40 years ago. I froze. My reflection in the station window caught my eye, and there it was again. The faint blue glow in my pupils, the same one I saw in theirs. That night, as I lay in a hospital bed, I could hear the sea humming again, faint but familiar. And a voice whispered through the sound of the waves, "You came back, Ethan, but not from where you left."